Right, one and all. So we continuing with the conversation on Surah 6 verse 74. Right, and mention, O Muhammad, when Abraham said to his father Azar, do you take idols as deities? Indeed, I see you and your people to be in manifest error. Right, so as you all know, I don't like stories, and these things are all historical stories, things of the past that are doing away with, we don't care no more. Right, so the message about it is, do you take idols as deities? Indeed, I see you and your people to be in manifest error. Right, that's a message. Right, that's how you just extract a message, right, from a book with stories, from a storytelling book, including the Quran, because the Quran is partially a remembrance of storytelling. Right, so how do you extract a message? Right, you look for the message. Right, do you take idols as deities? Indeed, I see you and your people to be in manifest error. Right, so taking idols as gods, so as deities, meaning worshipping idols, worshipping deities, right, is in fact a a part of manifest error. Right? Does this mean though that you have to do away and kill everybody who worshipping these things? No, you don't. You just share the message until it reaches enough people. Right? You just keep sharing the message and come across you come across the message too, right? You share the message, whether it be in person, whether it be online here, whether it be through writing, whatever the means be, right? That is what you do. You don't want to have intentions of eliminating people who worship these idols or deities, right? Um, we're going to 77 and 78 one time, right? And 79. So we're dealing with 74, 77, 78, 79, right? And when he saw the moon rising, he said, this is my Lord. And when it set, he said, unless my Lord guides me, I will surely be among the people who have gone astray, right? And then 78 goes on to say, and when he saw the sun rising, he said, this is my Lord, this is greater. But when it set, he said, oh my people, indeed I am free from what you associate with Allah, right? So basically what these two verses are alluding to is that what was the sun, right? The sun is often referred to as the Christ. No one died for my sins, right? The sun, meaning the sun that rises every morning, right? That we bear witness to. This is Christ. This is his son, right? Krishna, as the case might be, Ram, as the case might be. That is the deity, the sun that rises in the morning, right? Now people take these things to mean, right, a deity that come onto earth, you give birth, right, and celebrate special occasions, Ram Navami, Mahashivaratri, you celebrate the birth, Gita Jayanti, you celebrate the birth of the Lord Jesus Christ, which is coming up in about 4 days, right? So we celebrate these things, but what you all are doing is actually worshiping the sun, right? Right, including the deep reverence you have for prophets and so on, Prophet Muhammad, so on. Right? What you are doing is worshiping the sun, right? Worshiping the sun, which is a deity, right? And equally a moon, right? The moon is the feminine version to that. The sun is considered the masculine aspect. The moon is the feminine aspect. So what you need to do is think about this, and this is like what Navratri and these things, right? They're celebrating the female deities as God, as well as celebrating the male deities as God, right? We are doing away with that because these deities are normal human beings incarnate, right? And when you worship in deities, you in fact worship in the sun and the moon, right? Which is Allah's creation, right? So what these two verses are really alluding to, right, is telling you to be neutral, right? You can't see, if you see a Christ being, no one died for my sins. If you see a Christ figure, right? If you see a Christ figure, right, being born, right, because people are waiting the second coming of Christ. You see a Christ figure being born, they say, oh, this is God, right? This is God representative, this is God on earth, right? People say that, right? And then after a while it's like, oh, use nothing, right? So what the book is making reference to is like being consistent in your belief system, right? Associating nothing with Allah, right? True, right? Whether you see the sun setting in the sky, the sun rising, the moon come up in the sky, the moon going down and the sun coming up, right? You be neutral and you be specific and you be narrow in your path, meaning associate nothing with Allah. Don't be one way. This 1 minute you're worshiping the sun, next minute you're worshiping the moon, right? 1 minute you're worshiping nothing at all, next minute you're worshiping this deity, next minute you're worshiping that deity, right? You're worshiping Shiva one day, you're worshiping Ram one day, you're worshiping Navratri one day, right? All these things are confusing energies, right? You are confusing yourself. Next day you're worshiping the Christ because it's Christmas, right? When you are called upon the path of Allah, right, you are narrow, you are straight, right? You are narrow, you are straight. You are saying, hey, I associate nothing with Allah, and so you're fair and you're just because you can't be worshipping Christ and leaving out the other 33 million deities, right? You can't be worshipping Shiva and leaving out the next X amount of deities, right? You're being unfair, you're being unjust to the others, other contributing forces into the universe, right? You're being unfair and unjust, right? So it's best you what? Do nothing at all, right? Or you integrate Islam into your life. It's either you do nothing at all for real, right? Or you integrate Islam into your life and say, hey, I worship Allah and Allah alone. And there's no deity worthy of worship except there's no God worthy of worship because you are not a God, so, right? So there's no deity worthy of worship, right? Except Allah itself, and you are not a God and I'm not a God, right? So that's why I really gravitated towards this way of life, right? Which is similar, as I said, to what you call it, the Vedic system in terms of holding a monotheistic belief system, right? They can't be worshipping Hanuman, right, and leaving out all the other deities, right? Because it's unfair. So who's everybody else? So who's everybody else, right? You're being unfair and giving your energy unfairly to one particular deity. That's why I don't like this Christian belief system at all, because it's fundamentally flawed. It is fundamentally flawed. It is fundamentally flawed, right? Because who's all the other contributing factors? Who's all the contributing forces in the universe? Who's also all of the contributing forces, right? The unseen contributing forces to the universe, right? Who's everybody else, right? So that what I say is either Christianity be demolished, right, or they start to worship all the forces, right? That's what the book is saying. Maintain a consistency and neutrality in the way that you come to know God, you think about God, you perceive God, right? And one that is in line with that which is reasonable, logical, right? And like I posted on my WhatsApp earlier today, right? Judgment is really here on earth, right? You don't face judgment after earth. This is judgment. Once you're on earth, you are being judged, right? You are being judged by people, you are being judged by divine source, you are being judged once you're on earth, right? So there's nothing like permanent condemnation. So this is to ease your mind and heart where these things are concerned. There's nothing like eternal condemnation, right? There's action consequence. You do a wrong, right? You do a wrong, what people call sin in other religions. You do a wrong, right? And you pay a consequence on earth, right? And you neutralize that while you're on earth, and then you pass away, right? So that is what judgment essentially is, right? So those who have passed away, and we're seeing people passing away every day, they would have resolved whatever action, reaction they have to resolve, and they're returning back to Allah, returning back to God, right? And becoming one again with that source that is beyond this physical world, right? So that's a conversation for today, right? So we move ahead. Right, 79 we say we'd go into as well. Indeed, I have turned my face or self towards he who created the heavens and earth, inclining towards truth, and I am not amongst those who associate others with Allah, right? We are not amongst those, right? We, a lot of us on earth, meaning a lot of us are on earth, right? Are not amongst those who associate anyone with Allah, because those who associate with Allah have a lot of flaws, right? Have a lot of flaws, right? There's no perfect being, right? There's no perfect being, there's no perfect lamb.